Hey everyone, it's me Pratima. So the one question I kept asking myself after using the OnePlus 12 was, who needs those expensive premium flagship phones when you're getting like 90% of the experience on something at almost half the price? And after using the even more affordable OnePlus 12R, I have been wondering, wait a minute, who even needs the regular OnePlus 12 in the first place? Because this guy starts at just 40,000 rupees in India or $500 in the US, which is more than 60% cheaper compared to the OnePlus 12, if my math is right. And for that price, the 12R offers 90% of what you get on the OnePlus 12, including top-notch performance thanks to last year's flagship Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor. But before you go ahead and get one for yourself, there are a lot of other things you need to know about the OnePlus 12R. Let me tell you what I mean. Alright, before anything else, I want to talk about this design because I absolutely love how OnePlus has committed to establishing a uniform brand identity across its phones lately, at least on the higher end ones. From this circular camera cutout to the gentle curves at the back, the OnePlus 12R feels every bit as premium and comfortable to hold as the OnePlus 12. It does not miss out on things like an alert slider or an IR blaster either, so that is great to see too. But there are some obvious and some not so obvious ways OnePlus wants you to know that the 12R is not a proper flagship phone. And the first thing that immediately stood out to me as soon as I started using this thing was the haptics. I'm not saying that the 12R has terrible bossy haptics or anything, but compared to the sharp, responsive vibration feedback that complements the user experience so well on the OnePlus 12, the 12R's haptics feel a bit weak and bubbly to me. It also brings USB 2.0 connection instead of the faster and more versatile USB 3.2. The OnePlus 12R's back glass is also just Gorilla Glass 5 versus a stronger Gorilla Glass Victus on the OnePlus 12, and it also features a weaker IP54 dust and splash resistance. But I think none of this is an absolute deal breaker in any way. These are perfectly reasonable trade-offs considering the price difference, and thankfully there's really no compromise in the OnePlus 12R's display. Yes, you do get a slightly smaller and slightly lower res screen, but OnePlus has used the same X1 OLED panel from BOE here, protected by Corning's 2nd Gen Victus glass that you will find on the OnePlus 12. Hence, it's got excellent color accuracy and pretty much everything you'd expect from a flagship smartphone display. So whether I'm out sunbasking to beat the winter cold or cooped up inside in a blanket at night, the OnePlus 12R's display adjusts to all those conditions perfectly. And its Aqua Touch feature is also one of my favorite things about this phone. It sounds like such a small thing at first, being able to interact with the display even when it's moderately wet, but it has come in handy more than I care to admit. The OnePlus 12R also has Wide1 L1 and all the other HDR certifications in the world for a great multimedia experience, which has been complemented pretty well with a set of stereo speakers that sound exactly like the one on the OnePlus 12, by the way. Loud and full enough for casual listening, but could have used a bit better tuning in the treble region. The OnePlus 12R also ships with 4th Gen LTPO tech that's supposed to adjust the refresh rate to as low as 1 Hz to save power. However, I just can't get it to work on my unit. It occasionally swings between 60 and 120 Hz, and that's it. So naturally, I didn't have high hopes for its battery life, but this phone has surprised me big time here. Even under a relatively demanding usage with a lot of gaming and a lot of photo and videography, I have been getting 7 to 8 hours of screen on time on average on this device. What's even better is that this thing fills up insanely fast too. The 100-watt charger that OnePlus ships inside the box gives me like 50% juice in just 10 minutes, while a complete refill takes less than half an hour. Then again, as expected, the 12R cannot charge wirelessly, unlike the standard OnePlus 12, which supports an impressive 50-watt wireless charging. I'm sure the OnePlus 12R's lack of wireless charging is not going to upset a lot of people, considering how this guy has such an excellent battery life and wicked fast wire charging. Alright, let's talk performance now. So as I mentioned in the very beginning, the OnePlus 12R brings Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside, which has been coupled with 8 or 16 GB of RAM and 128 or 256 gigs of storage. I do wish that OnePlus would have gone with 256 gigs of storage in the base configuration, because 128GB can get filled up pretty fast. Anyway, with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, the OnePlus 12R is incredibly fast and a reliable performer no matter what you throw at it. And after all this time, I pretty much have zero performance hiccups on this phone. Obviously, it's not going to go toe-to-toe against the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 if you look at all the benchmark numbers and everything. And yeah, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 should age somewhat better with time. But trust me, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 versus 8 Gen 3 should not make a whole lot of difference in everyday usage. Matter of fact, my gaming tests show very similar results between the OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 12R. Both of them played Genshin Impact at the highest graphics with a near 60 FPS average, while I did notice some minor frame drops on the 12R when playing PUBG Mobile at 90 FPS. Not a big deal though. And since these phones have an identical vapor chamber cooling system, their temperature data, as you can see here, is almost exactly the same. However, the more expensive OnePlus 12 does have a few gaming tricks up its sleeve that are not available on the 12R, like hyper resolution, which upscales a game's render quality, or adaptive frame boost, which is a hardware-enabled feature that improves the FPS numbers. But I wouldn't say that it's a big deal as of now, since most of the popular titles simply don't work with that right now. Moving on, the software experience on the OnePlus 12R is also no different than on its more expensive sibling. It boots on Android 14 with OxygenOS 14 on top, and you get a quite optimized, bloatware-free software experience on this phone. Although there's this one weird bug I'm facing on YouTube where the whole thing gets stuttery all of a sudden after I play a video in landscape mode. So I hope that gets fixed with a future update. And speaking of updates, there's one more piece of disappointing news. While the regular OnePlus 12 enjoys 4 generations of OS and 5 years of security updates, the OnePlus 12R is a year short on both ends. Let's finally talk about the cameras, and this is definitely where you'll find the biggest difference between the two phones. The OnePlus 12 now brings a periscope zoom camera on top of a larger, higher resolution main and ultra-wide-angle sensors, whereas the 12R is using the same camera setup as last year's OnePlus 11R, including a 50 megapixel primary and 8 megapixel ultra-wide and a useless 2 megapixel macro lens. Oh, and unlike the OnePlus 12, the OnePlus 12R still does not get any Hasselblad love. However, in my test, I found that the OnePlus 12R has a damn good primary camera. So much so that on more than one occasion, I prefer its photos to those of the OnePlus 12 itself, especially when it comes to preserving natural white balance, as the OnePlus 12 shots tend to come off a bit warm. The 12R's images, on the other hand, don't suffer from the same problem. But looking a little closer, it's clear that the OnePlus 12 manages better image processing in one way or the other. I noticed that the OnePlus 12R is simply playing catch up with the OnePlus 12 during the day, from the way it handles bright highlights to the way it processes rich shadows, contrast levels, and dynamic range. It's not something that you will notice right away, but in tough lighting conditions, the 12R needs to be doing better. And yeah, its skimpy 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera did not impress me much either. There's very little color shift from the main camera, and I did manage to take some decent pictures every now and then, but the OnePlus 12's 48 megapixel ultra wide angle shooter is in a different league altogether, be it in terms of details or dynamic range. The 12R's low light shots are decent enough as well. It does fall behind the OnePlus 12 in things like exposure compensation, glare control, and contrast levels from time to time, but I cannot complain much. But I must say that I'm not a big fan of the selfies from either of these phones. Yes, the OnePlus 12 preserves more details and a wider field of view, although beautified, yellowish skin tone of the subject does not look very good, whereas the reddish tint on the 12R selfies does not help as well. As for portraits, the OnePlus 12 has an immediate advantage since it lets me shoot from multiple focal lengths for a better composition and better subject focus. The 12R2 has more than capable main camera to let me shoot 2x portraits just like the Pixel 8, but that's sadly not available. Anyhow, its 1x portraits are actually quite nice. It just does not try too hard to handle the subject's skin tone and all compared to how the OnePlus 12 tries to make the subject pop a little bit. Now getting to videos, the 12R can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS from its main camera, and for still footages, the 12R's videos are pretty nice, to be honest. But move around a little bit and then you will get some wobbly videos from this guy. The 12R is also weirdly limited to just 1080p 30 FPS recording from the ultra-wide and the selfie camera, and the video quality on both of them is nothing special. So yeah, there are a lot of positives to talk about the 12R's cameras, but I wish this thing had more robust hardware as well, especially in the selfie and the ultra-wide angle lens. But overall, except for having the A+ cameras, it's clear that the OnePlus 12R is a fantastic phone that deserves your attention. It truly is a capable phone that stands out handsomely, and I can easily recommend this phone to anyone looking to buy a semi-flagship phone that ticks most of the boxes. I guess the only thing that's keeping the 12R from being a total slam dunk is the upcoming iQOO Neo 9 Pro, which is launching on February 22nd in India. It's pretty much the direct competitor to the OnePlus 12R in every way imaginable, but I'm pretty sure the software experience that you get here is just unmatched to what iQOO is going to offer. So everybody, that was all for my full and detailed review of the all-new OnePlus 12R. Do let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts on this device. Saying this, I'm Pratima. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with the next video.